My question is to the Minister representing the Minister for Home Affairs, Senator Watt. Minister, reporting by Reuters and others of polling showing that 3 in 4 residents of Gaza and the West Bank support the terrorist group Hamas and indeed their actions on the 7th of October has led to questions about the security implications of visas being issued to this cohort during the current crisis. In an interview with the ABC on Sunday, the Director-General of ASIO, Mike Burgess, said, and I quote, "Part of that visa process is, when criteria are hit, they are referred to my organisation and ASIO does its thing." End quote. Will the minister commit to referring every visa application from this cohort to ASIO so that it can conduct the appropriate security checks?
Thank you, Senator Fawcett. Minister Watt.
Thank you, President, and thank you, Senator Fawcett. Well, I'm sure that Senator Fawcett would agree that Australia has a proud record of working with our international allies to help people escape from crisis, such as what we're seeing in Gaza right now. The war between Israel and Hamas has displaced millions of Palestinians, and Australia has once again done our part. But we have not allowed this to compromise our national security. Our security and intelligence agencies have taken exactly the same approach here as they took with Ukrainians who have arrived since the Russian invasion in 2022 and Afghans who fled from the Taliban under the former government. I'm a little surprised to hear someone like Senator Fawcett, who I know has a great deal of respect for our armed forces and our security agencies. I'm a little surprised to hear Senator Fawcett question the judgment of well, Senator Fawcett asked the question.
Order.
Senator Fawcett asked the question.
Order.
Senator Fawcett's a big boy. He's okay. He's okay. He's okay. I am a little surprised to hear Senator Fawcett, who, as I say, I know has respect for our armed forces, as a former armed forces member himself, question the judgment of the Director-General of ASIO, Mr Mike Burgess.
Minister, please resume your seat. Senator Fawcett.
Thank you, President. Relevance. The question was about the government's commitment to refer every application, not about the judgment of the Director-General, who, as the Minister correctly indicates, I have the highest regard for.
Thank you, Senator Colbeck. The Minister is being relevant, and I'll continue to listen carefully. Minister Watt.
Thanks, President. Well, Senator Fawcett, as I've already implied and will now make explicit, we are following exactly the same process as occurred under the former government. Applicants for visas, as is the case here, are checked for security risks. We are following exactly the same process, and Mike Burgess, someone I have confidence in and our government has confidence in as the Director-General of ASIO, has said that this is the same process as was followed under the former government and is the appropriate process. So I think the question for the opposition is whether they have faith in ASIO or not.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Colbeck, first supplementary.
Thank you, President. So, Minister, the issue for you is that in the same interview the Director-General said, and I quote, "When things get referred to ASIO, we deal with them effectively. Of course, there might be times when they don't get or didn't get referred to us in time." End quote. Is this why multiple individuals leaving Gaza had their Australian visas cancelled after they'd been granted?
Thank you, Senator Fawcett. Minister Watt.
I would have thought it's a good thing for ASIO to provide advice that certain individuals' visas should be cancelled or not granted, rather than not making that decision. That's an example of ASIO doing its job and the government listening to the advice of ASIO. Would the opposition seriously prefer us to ignore the advice of ASIO? What we've done in some instances is cancel visas when security checks have revealed that those individuals should not be granted a visa. And again, this is exactly the same process as was employed by the former government.
Please resume your seat. Order. Senator McKenzie, I called order 3 times. It applies to you. I will ask you to either remain silent in the chamber or leave the chamber. Minister Watt, please continue.
Thanks, President. So, as I say, the process that this government is adopting and ASIO is adopting is exactly the same process as ASIO adopted under the former government. We listen with respect to the advice of our security agencies, including Mr Burgess as the Director-General of ASIO, where he and his colleagues provide advice that a visa should not be issued or should be cancelled. We accept that advice.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Fawcett, second supplementary.
Thank you, President. Media reports suggest that the Albanese government is developing a visa pathway to allow temporary visa holders from Palestine to remain in Australia. Minister, will you make a commitment to the Australian people that not a single Hamas supporter will be brought into Australia under this scheme?
Thank you, Senator Fawcett. Minister Watt.
Thank you, President. Thank you, Senator Fawcett. I saw the comments of Mr Burgess on this matter on Insider's program, and I'm sure you can go and have a look at them yourselves, where he explained the approach of our National Security Agency to people who have expressed views about Hamas. Again, we respect the advice of our security agencies and people like Mr Burgess, and we act on that advice. So I'm confident that ministers will act in accordance with that advice when those decisions are required. What I also saw Mr Burke say, as the incoming Home Affairs Minister, he made the very obvious point that Gaza is a war zone. People were provided with tourist visas initially in order to get them out of a conflict zone quickly after security checks had been undertaken. But it is unrealistic to think that it is proper or safe to return people to a conflict zone like Gaza, which is why further consideration is being given to their status going forward.
Thank you, Minister.